Coach, first of all, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Houston. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Coach, how did you first hear that, hey, I might have a shot at this? How did that conversation go? I imagine with Mr. Pat Olsen.
Well, I knew of the job opening, obviously, at the beginning of this season. And I was asked to be a part of that hiring process or to interview for the job. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to put my name in the hat at that time. And in some ways, I regretted that a little bit as I saw the season going. And, but that started, I think, the itch to get back into coaching and get back into the locker room and the arena. Unfortunately for Paulo, they let him go. It's a tough life being a coach, and in particular being let go in the first year. So I feel for him. But then I decided it was time to interview and see what this was about, and it just grew and grew. And my relationship with Pat is obviously is people know about. I won't shy away from that. He's a good friend, but I think we're going to push each other and make each other better.
May I call you Ben?
Yes, of course.
Ben, you talked about something very interesting to me, that after 10 years, a decade of coaching, you said, look, let's go in a different direction. Let's try out different things. Yeah. Broadcasting, you mentioned. By the way, you're very good, so don't cut yourself short. But what was that moment like to say, and many of us who are in one career, take a moment. Sometimes we're forced into that moment, but what were those moments like when you said, okay, I may not want to coach again?
Yeah. It was exciting.
Yeah.
It was exciting to step away from coaching. Most coaches, when they get let go, I think they go into this a little bit of a dark place. It's a hard thing to. I was actually excited to check out something new. I was in one lane for all my life, and playing right to coaching for 10 years with no breaks. And I thought it was important for me to step away and evaluate what's next for me. I was lucky enough to work with the women's team in a presidential role to kind of see the other side of a sporting organization. Yeah. I became the GM there, went through a turbulent 8 months in the women's game, which was a really tough time, but showed myself to calm that club down and have some success and win a championship there at the Washington Spirit, and then dabble in some television. And it was something that I wanted to check out. I had some anxiety about doing. I didn't want to be behind the camera. It's never been my favorite thing, but it was important for me to push through that and give it a try. And again, as you try these other things, you're saying, okay, is this me? Is this what I want to do now for the next phase? And I decided that it was time for me to get back into the arena.
Coach, coaching is very stressful at any level. I've had my share, certainly not at the MLS level. At the youth level, I'd have to double up on my medication for the blood pressure. But sometimes it's addictive too, because you go, oh man, if I had just done that, or I want to do this better, or the high in a way that comes from success. Was that part of the calculation to say, okay, I've reflected on this, I want back in?
A little bit. This locker room we're in, it's a special place. And to be able to work in a locker room, not a lot of people know that feeling. Yeah. And I missed that part. I missed the game day. I missed trainings, being around the guys and going through this journey of a season, because they're all so different. I'm looking forward to trying that again. I also was only in one place for all my career. So trying this again in a different environment with different people is appealing to me in a way that's, okay, who am I now outside of my comfort zone in DC, and, with a team that has not been on the right side of the playoff line once in the last decade. This is a big challenge. Yeah. And it's not going to happen overnight. Well,
talking about the challenge, the pressure, we spoke earlier with Pat Olsen about, look, it's on me. And I want to feel the pressure in the sense that I can't get away from that. I know you're in this situation. You've been here literally days, if not hours. Is the pressure there? Is it self-imposed? Is it the situation? The word pressure, how do you define that in this context?
I use my experience to know that when I hit the ground here, it's every day. It changes everything about your life. I've been in for 2 years. My heart rate's been living here. The second I take this job, it stays here. It's a difficult job, but I know what comes with it, and it's pressure every day. It's consuming. It takes its toll on the family.
It does.
So all these things, I know what I'm in for. At least that doesn't make it any easier. But the pressure itself is, it's self-imposed. It's me wanting to do well for myself, my family, these fans, the city of Houston, and reward the people that have brought me here.
With Pat and with Mr. Ted Siegel and with Asher Mendelson, what is that dynamic you think will be like?
Yeah.
And you went through that in the interviewing process, I imagine. Now you are part of the organization. Working in a team environment and the culture that's trying to be created here, since Mr. Ted Siegel came in, we've seen a change in culture. Complacency was the word that was used. The organization needs to move away from complacency.
We have to shift the culture a little bit. And I think not everyone is seeing what I'm seeing in the interview process or when I'm around the club already of these building blocks that aren't so evident on game day, right? But those are already in action. And it's my job to come pour a little gasoline on that and make sure the on-field product resembles some of those things that we're moving forward to. It's about getting people in here, good people to support, that know our league and know how to win and know how to create culture and support me, because I don't have all the answers, right? I'm not a magic bullet, and I'm very collaborative. I need people around me to make me whole. I know who those people are and what those people need, the qualities that they need. So they've assured me that those resources are going to be there, and that's a big deal.
You were asked in the press conference about Wayne Rooney. You now have Hector Herrera. How do you plan to deal with? I hope it's a fair question, Coach.
Yeah.
With a big name star who has his following, and in this case Hector Herrera from Mexico, from the national team, and those fans have those expectations. Does the question make sense?
Yeah, I start with authenticity and honesty in my dealings with humans, and that's on the street, and that's also in the locker room. Within that, there'll be expectations of Hector because he's a big name, he's a great player, he's a world-class player, and he's going to be a leader for our team. So there's going to be a lot of responsibility put on him. But I'm collaborative. I can't wait to sit with him and hear him out and his thoughts on the team and where he plays, where he feels the team is, and where he feels most comfortable on the field. And so I'm not a coach that's going to come in and it's my way or the highway. Right. I want that collaborative nature with the players. I want it with the staff. Ultimately, it's my decision, and I'll make the calls. But the more everyone can buy into this process and feel a part of it, I feel like we're able to have success.
You mentioned it's not my way only or the highway. How do you juggle personalities? Anybody in a team context, whether it's professional sports, you have to deal with your left defender one way because of this motivational issue. Your forward, you don't even have to talk to him because he knows what to do. How do you give the context? A lot of people can't coach because they don't know how to manage personalities.
I've had a few personalities throughout my my 10 years, and I've also played with a lot of personalities. They're all different, and people that say you treat them all the same. That's not me. I don't treat them all the same. I treat them as the people they are, and try to connect with them and try to figure out what they need to have success. Of course, there's a line, and there's a cultural line of that we can't. Some non-negotiables.
Sure.
But working with a Hector is different than working with a kid that just graduated college and then comes in and the demands and the respect.
Different time in their lives.
It's very different. So working with that, and that used to be my strength. Hopefully, it's still one of my strengths.
And Coach, finally, the message for the fans, the message for the community, and mainly our programming is Spanish language. Yeah. We live in a diverse city, a bilingual city, a bicultural city, a multicultural city, I should say, really more than anything, which is maybe different than DC. I don't know. I don't pretend to know the culture there of DC United. What's the message for the fan base now that it's the start of the Ben Olsen era?
That's a big part of why I'm here and why I'm willing to bring my family here, is to experience this great city and how diverse it is, how dynamic it is. I would argue it's not very different than Washington, D.C., where I had I think a very good relationship with the Hispanic community. It's a multicultural area. I always lived downtown in Washington, D.C. my whole life. So it was, we're used to that, and we embrace that. And again, that was one of the attractive parts about coming here. All three of my kids speak Spanish. They've been in immersion school since they could start talking. Their daddy, not so much, but I bribe them to speak it and humor me when I'm speaking my Spanglish at dinner. So it's great. Speaking Spanish is not speaking Spanish fully is one of my big regrets. I've tried many times and to commit to it. So hopefully I'll be more inspired to push that part of my life as well.
And then maybe if you don't mind, un poquito de español.
No.
Algo, lo que sea, lo que quieras. Ordenar un taco.
Un taco.
Una enchilada. Por favor, un poquito.
My Spanish is. Here's what I'll say about my Spanish.
Yes, sir.
I know when the players are talking bad about me behind my back. That's as good as I get. But I'm working on it.
Well, listen. First of all, thank you for sitting with us. Welcome. Bienvenido a Houston.
Gracias.
We really appreciate your time, and we want to wish you the best of success.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.